All right, so we're almost done here. The last thing we're going to do is visualize that fit the survival curves that we just created. So the way we do that is we pass that survival object to a graphing function, the GG survival plot function. So what we're going to do is go back to our script file, use that GG survive plot function. We're going to graph fit1, which is what we created at the end of the last video. The data we're going to use is that AB data, and we are going to use the option of p-value equals true. So again, the statistical details of this we're not going to go into, but overall what we've done so far is fit these Kaplan-Meier survival curves. And then what you can do is do a log rank statistical test, and that's what's actually going to give you a p-value to tell you whether those survival curves are significantly different between the two different groups or the two different populations that you're comparing. And by including this p-value equals true argument here, that means when we create our survival curve plot, that's going to also include the p-value on our plot. So if we execute this, what is going to show now is in this bottom right hand plot panel, what we can see now is a survival curve plot. So here on the y-axis we have the survival probability. So for both populations, which are shown in different colors, we started at a survival probability of 1, and then throughout time we can track and see how throughout time these populations, which individuals have died. And so this overall type of survival analysis is useful because what you can just monitor at the very end of an experiment and compare individuals that lived versus individuals that died. But sometimes there are also more nuanced details within that survival pattern where even if you end up with the same overall survival at the end, it might be that you start to see mortality happening sooner or to steeper drop off. So this particular type of survival analysis we're doing in this package allows us to look across time, so we can see not only what the end survival is, but also overall what that pattern looks like. So that's what the time axis is here, the y-axis in days. The cultured abalone farm is in this salmon color, Monterey Abalone Company is in this teal color, and then here's that p-value that we told this function to include. The p-value is 0.022, which is less than that typical cutoff of 0.05, which means that for these two populations, individuals from these two farms, the survival is indeed significantly different after exposure to this heat stress. So what we want to do is make sure we save this image as a PDF. So we want to save it in this same directory, our project directory that was created for our studio lab. You might want to call it something like Week 7 survival curves. So we'll save that. And remember, you always want to save our script so you can have it for future reference. And that basically sums up this week's lab. This is the main graphic that you'll want to export and then include in your lab report. And then you can write a description of what this graphic is showing us, as well as a description of what overall we did in this lab. Remember, the point of these labs is hopefully not for you to spend a bunch of time troubleshooting with the programs. So as you could see here, when I do it, I don't run into a bunch of error messages. I think, as I've said to a few of you, it has something to do with Mac versus Windows or PC. So if you are using Windows and you end up running into a bunch of issues with error messages, installing, running code, do the best you can to troubleshoot. But if it's taking you a really, really long time, like this lab should take you no more than 3 hours. If it's taking you longer than that, please let me know. and we'll see what we can do, because my intent is not for you to spend hours and hours banging your head against your computer trying to figure out why this one line of code won't work because there's some weird thing going on with Windows. That's not my intent. So if you really get stuck, please let me know and we'll see what we can do.